Winning. I've outsmarted you on a number of levels. Beta. Well, actually, King's not. Beta.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.
Keep your mouth shut. I'm going to go in there and slap your face.
You know, we're going to rise like the Phoenix. And
Get in my limousine. Ride on 85. Get in my Learjet. Woo!
Welcome to the Asterisk Collusion podcast. You got the king himself. I'm joined here by my compadre, the Grizz. Woo!
So
we have some big news now. Draft weekend has happened. Woo!
It's all done. All that mock drafting that we spent weeks and countless hours on for no reason is finally over, and only one team can win it. And everybody's got a small chance right now. The week is kind of a boring week. We got Thursday night football, and then the regular season doesn't start for 2 more weeks, or almost 3 weeks. So it's a long wait.
Yeah, it's a little unique for the Ashland Cup to draft this early, but it was good to have everyone at the draft, so that was really fun. One thing you were talking about, and you sent me earlier today, was talking about the ATB.
ADP.
I can't talk. The ranks from like 2023 and where they ended up in 2024 in the Ashland Cup draft. You want to start talking about that a little bit?
It was I just thought it was interesting because we always laugh and go back at draft boards. So I was like, let me look at ADP from have fantasy football, fantasy pro website, and I was just looking at 2023 and who's really jumped and grown a lot. Like I have CJ Stroud as the 24th quarterback. This is position rank, not overall rank. So CJ Stroud went from 24 all the way down to 6th round. Same thing with Jordan Love. He was 26 overall. Now he's round 5. So you're seeing a lot of these guys grow. Anthony Richardson was number 16 overall last year, and Drill really took him pretty high. But I thought the interesting ones were Justin Fields and Daniel Jones. Justin Fields was the 7th quarterback, and you drafted him last year.
4th round.
And he went undrafted, and so did Daniel Jones. So it changes a lot. There's not a huge shift. Like Herbert fell a lot, Trevor Lawrence fell, and Deshaun Watson. But the running backs is really the funny one. I mean, there are some names on here, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like Austin Eckler last year. I think somebody asked me about this at the draft. Austin Eckler last year was the number 2 ADP running back.
Yeah. Was he taken number 2 overall? Or I don't
know, but it was early, and he's kind of like an afterthought now. He went in round 9. I mean, Chubb got hurt. Tony Pollard was high last year. I think Tuner, somebody took him 1st round last year, or really early. But Tony Pollard was number 8. Stevenson was number 12. Damian Pierce, number 15. He's fallen off. Alexander Madison at 17. Brees Hall was number 19. He went round 1. Miles Sanders is 21, undrafted. Cam Akers, we know. Pacheco's number 26, went round 2. And your boy, Devon Achane, he was the 39th running back last year.
Steal.
And Zamir White's 65. And here's two good ones. Kyrene Williams, the 71st running back in the ADP last year, and he went round 2. So that just goes to show you. And then we get to the wide receivers. Stephon Diggs was number 4 last year. He was a 1st rounder. He's dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Zay Flowers is the 41st wide receiver. Nico Collins, 57. Tank Dell, 73. Puka Nacua, 91. And it just goes to show you, man, it changes so fast. And there's 3 more. Darren Waller, the tight end, undrafted, of course, because he retired. He was number 5 last year. LaPorta was number 16. And Trey McBride was number 32. So, man, it's changed a lot from last year, a whole lot.
Yeah, no, you're right. It just goes to show you can't go year by year or look at the previous year. You actually have to look at the players where they are now, maybe try to make predictions on where they will be. If you try to go off like what they did in the previous years, you probably are going to be pretty much fucked.
I like to look at the history, though, because we are a league that follows names, and we'll get into that to some of these drafts here because we like trends And like we talked about, you can throw ADP out the window. Our league knows where the value is at, and we go after the jugular. I was surprised to see running backs just fall off as fast as they did, and even quarterbacks and tight ends early. And usually we steer away from that, but this year I think this was a different year. What do you think about the draft overall?
Overall, I think the commish said it best. I mean, I think if you look at all the teams, yeah, there's some teams I think that are stronger than others, and that are weaker than others. But I don't see like just a complete bomb. I'll say that much. I think everyone's tightened up their draft game. I think there's some good teams out there. And frankly, if a little bit of luck breaks one person's way and bad luck breaks another person's way, it did, even a bad team, even a team might view as weak could win it all.
It happens. It's anybody's game. Like you could lose two people after 2 or 3 weeks, and your season's over. So I mean, the thing is, we're not all fighting for a bunch of trophies. We're fighting for first place. So when I look at these rankings, we have to find 4 teams, in my opinion, that are at the bottom end. We got to find the teams in the middle, and we got to find the teams that look a little bit better. Now, these are far from my overall predictions, but I try to separate some of the teams and just try to predict who's the best. There's only one way to do it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people can't take it personally. We're just looking at things and giving you our honest opinion. I know there's a lot of butthurt people in this league. They'll just have to get over
Take it personally, please.
it. We take that back. Do take it personally.
Well, let's jump into it. I think the first team on our list is old Nate Gate.
First pick. I have Nate Gate, quote unquote, team CMC, no insurance. He didn't get the insurance clause at the draft. I think he's gonna go back in 2 or 3 weeks and really regret that pick. Honestly, it looks good on paper. It seems like an easy fit, but CMC is a little bit older. He's a smaller running back too, and he has been hurt in the past. But on paper, he looks great, and I wonder if he'll regret that pick. I would have taken a wide receiver or Bijan there because he's young, but I've been burned so many times by running back. But let's just get to it. The picks I like for Nate Gate, I love the Tank Dell pick in round 6. I think he can be sexy. I think they're going to distribute the ball everywhere. If there's a person that's going to lose in that offense, my money would be on Diggs. And I really like the Jalen Wright pick. I know you got your boy. I could see Jalen Wright coming in probably mid-season and taking over and shoving Mostert to the ground. He's a young guy. He seems to fit really well. They drafted him early, so usually those things, the younger running backs that are drafted have that look good, they're going to take over by mid-season. So I kind of project and think that Jalen will do pretty well at some point in the season. But there's also some things I was worried about with Nate personally. Looking at his draft, CMC, this scares me because he's older and injury prone. Do you think CMC makes it the whole season without being hurt?
No. I think he's destined to get hurt this year. Something about, I don't know why, something about the 49ers overall, I'm just not thrilled with. I think with what's happened to Ayuk. What's the left tackle's name that's also in contract dispute? Or
The old commander.
yeah,
He's really good.
Yeah, something about it is just it feels a little off to me. I don't know if it's just because you're older or whatever, but like I'm just not loving the 49ers this year, at least offensively. That's not to say they won't be a good a true football team. But for fantasy purposes, I'm kind of wary on. That's why I was like, when he went McCaffrey and Debo, the first 2 picks, I was kind of like, oof. We'll see. We'll see if that pans out for the old Nate Gate.
I mean, there's some calculated risks. We all take risks. You did, I did, a lot of other people did. I mean, I think Nate's going to have a real issue with his second running back spot. Right now, in my opinion, Nate is the only team in the Asterisk Cup right now that's got a complete void at a position entering the first week. I don't even know if he's got a running back that could start week 1 because I think Brooks, the Carolina back, he may not start week 1, right?
No, he's hurt. I don't think he's going to be playing for the first 4 weeks of the season. And then we don't know even how he'll look when he comes back. I'm looking at his lineup. I think he's got to run with Trey Benson
I
and
mean,
hope.
I've heard he hasn't looked very good either so far. So, I mean, I worry about that. That you can't go into the season having a complete void at a running back spot. That is bad. Uh, I think he knows that. Maybe he dropped the ball somewhere. Maybe he wants to go back and get a pick.
Mm,
But I'm worried about his second running back spot. I'm looking at his quarterbacks. Murray 3 years ago and Herbert, sexy, sexy, sexy. Looking at him right now, it's not Herbert's fault. They dumped a lot of players. Eckler's gone. I mean, Williams is gone. Keenan Allen's gone. Kyle Everett's gone. They're tight end. I know they got Harbaugh there, but I worry about Herbert having even a remotely good fantasy year. And even Murray, the quarterback of the Cardinals. I mean, he hasn't really been fantasy relevant in 2 years. So I think he's very average or less than average at the quarterback spot. And I think the wide receivers he picked three wide receivers relatively early. I think rounds 2, 3, and 4. And I think all three of them are kind of like their ceilings like 1,100, 1,200 yard receiving. So I don't really think they're not. I don't think he's got one elite receiver, and I don't put Debo in that category.
mm. Well, let me ask, what is your 2024 AC prediction for the old Nate Gate?
I got him in the middle to the bottom end of the Ashton Cup right now.
Whew, it's a tough tier to climb out of, let me tell you. All right, well, let's jump on to old Tuna here, the number 2 pick. Uh, what are your thoughts about his draft?
I think his drafts is like what you did last year. I think it falls on Prescott and Lamb. If Prescott and Lamb are really, really good, I could see Tuna sticking in it. It takes two or three. I mean, we talked about this. If you have three studs and they're healthy through the year, they can pretty much carry your team. So you're looking for those three. I mean, Nate Gate can do it. He can get CMC, two other guys, and just get hot and roll with it. But
Mhm.
I do like Tuna's team overall. I actually like Josh Jacobs. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's not that good. He's too old." But I think Green Bay is a very good offense. They're established. I think he'll take over where Aaron Jones left off. I think it's a very safe pick. And I like his tight end Njoku in the 11th round. I think that's a very safe tight end pick. He's not incredibly sexy, but Njoku can get 70, 80 balls, and he's a very safe player.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pretty much like everything you were saying. I'm looking when I look at his team though, I don't see. All right, I mean, I guess you can never predict the league surprises, but I mean, I don't see. Do you think Keon Coleman's going to have this breakout year? I
No,
don't think
he's
so.
going to struggle. He's already struggled.
I don't think Cortland Sutton's going to do it. He hasn't done it yet.
No,
J.K. Dobbins hasn't done it yet.
no.
Possibly honestly, I'm looking at his lineup. No New England receiver, by the way. They're all ugh.
He's got
He's
he's
got-
got two of them, and it's already a bad offense. And I
yeah.
think he overdrafted in James Cook and Evan Ingram. They're both good players, but I think he picked them at the peak of their career. Ingram's had problems staying healthy. James Cook is a nice pass catcher, third down back. I think this rookie Ray Davis is going to come in, and even Josh Allen steal a lot of their touchdowns. So I don't think James Cook will score a lot. I think Ingram's also going to suffer with all these receivers down in Jacksonville. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. there. I think you can take off 30 catches with the addition of that wide receiver there. They can't throw the ball to Ingram the entire time, so it's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
I look at his draft like he doesn't have anything glaring that he didn't have a whole roster spot open. I got Tuna right in the middle right now.
Oof, I like it. In the middle, in the mix. All right. Let's jump on Oracle real quick. What do you
Oracle had a good draft, I think. What do you think?
I think he did okay. Like looking at it overall, he actually drafted more running backs than I thought. I think when we were talking after draft, for some reason I thought he only drafted 3, but no, he drafted a couple running backs. He's got some big name players in Chase, Kelsey, Diggs, Stroud. I mean, he like we were saying, you just need really three 3 to 4 guys to step up, and he might have those.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones might surprise. Diggs could. I mean, his whole team is just loaded with veterans. I think Baxter just goes for those guys that are tried and true, people he trusts. I mean, he's got Lockett, Mike Williams. Those are the players I liked in his draft. Tyler Lockett was round 11. Mike Williams round 14. And I drilled it. Want to hear this, but Mike Williams could be really good with Aaron Rodgers there. That's like to me like a kind of a sleeper pick. But there are some problems with his draft that could pop up. Jamar Chase just came up in the news today as a potential player that would hold out. That would really suck because he's an amazing player and he was drafted really high, I believe 3 overall. And look at his roster. I mean, how many more years can Kelsey keep this up? Stephon Diggs is old. Aaron Rodgers is old, and I think Jordan Addison's hurt. And the only thing I have about Oracle's team is his second running back spot. I don't know what he's going to do there right now. I think the second running back spot's below average. So, but I think his team, he had a good draft. He's got a bunch of veterans, guys we've seen produce at a high level. I have Baxter right in the middle right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all you want. You want a fighting chance here in this league, that's for sure. Let's jump on a drill real quick. What's your initial thoughts there?
I was just thinking about driving back from Virginia. You and Drill were the 2 teams out of this draft that were you just left it on the table. You shot your load, and it's just pure just pure potential. Drill, I even said it because I'm team potential, sexy. Drill is by far the youngest team I think in the draft. If you're a rookie or you're hot, you're on Drill's team. And that could be a problem sometimes because he doesn't have a whole lot of veteran leadership or guys who've been produced at a high level yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the one guy I did think that he drafted 4 rookie wide receivers, which I've never heard of. But I think the one that it will do well will be Xavier Worthy, just because he's in a good system. He's fast as hell. Rice is a knucklehead, and then Hollywood's hurt right now, so he's got a good opportunity. And then I like Tyler Algier. He actually drafted Bijan's backup. That was very smart. I thought Trevor Lawrence round 13 was a good find. I mean, I can't believe like 2 years ago or even last year, Trevor Lawrence has been hot the last 2 years. He went a lot higher than that.
Yeah, no, there's actually a lot I like about Drill's draft, believe it or not. I love Bijan. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be productive. Laporta's, I think it's going to finish the top tight end. Michael Pittman Jr. I think he's another solid receiver. So there's pieces there I like. I am more concerned about his quarterback situation than because he went with Anthony Richardson in the 5th. That was a little high, I thought. He was explosive when he played last year, but
That was also with his legs, though.
Yeah, but that didn't last too long. He pretty much went down, and I'm kind of more worried about him having the injury bug for his career. So I don't know.
The Colts have concerns with Taylor, Richardson, and I think Pittman's best season came off of Garner Minshew. So I have my worries about the Colts as a whole. If you have high expectations for those two for the Colts to be a high octane offense and Pro Bowl caliber players and Super Bowl caliber team, I don't see the Colts being a Super Bowl caliber offense. Do you?
No. I just don't think so. I'm curious to see more how Trevor Lawrence does this year, believe it or not. If he has a good year, because I just don't see Richardson making it all year. I just don't.
I definitely see him using Lawrence at some point during the year.
Yeah, like as your main QB for for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's good to have 2 good quarterbacks, and Drill's gonna be fine there. My other concern to his team, he's got 1 tight end, Laporta. If he gets hurt, like you said, you lose 1 or 2 players, it's hard. And Laporta's a stud. He played amazing, and maybe he gets even better this year. I'm concerned about Gold's second running back in his flex position right now. But Drill is a really hard team for me to evaluate because it's really raw, and he's just got, like I said, his potential. He doesn't have a lot of proof in the pudding on his team right now. So because of that, I have Drill kind of on the middle to back side of the draft. I don't like, a little bit further down. I don't have him on the front side, but he had an okay draft. But he's one of those teams, man. He just needs those studs he drafted early to produce. And I just don't know how to grade them right now.
Gotcha. Well, let's jump on to the next team. That'll be first and goal.
Yeah, first and goal, I thought had one of the most consistent drafts. I think this is where, in my opinion, I think the best positions now in our draft has been. If you look at the history, I bet it's picks that are right in the middle between like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think those are pretty much the golden spots, and it seems to be a little bit more consistent if you look. We start getting through it, but Goal had a very solid draft. My favorite pick, actually, I loved him getting Tyreek Hill at 5. I thought that was a great value because when he's healthy, I mean, he got voted the number 1 player in the NFL this year for good reason. And he's also pairing him with Tua, who he got in round 9. So he's pairing Tyreek Hill and Tua together. And I really like Jahan Dotson with the Commanders in round 12. I think Jahan Dotson can pick up and maybe get 1,100, 1,200 yards. It may shock people.
No, I agree. Like, no, everything you said there, I think are good. With also, I mean, I'm not a huge Najee Harris fan, but with Warren hurt nursing the hamstring,
Value's up.
yeah, he steps up there as more of a primary back. He's got some other potential pieces there. I still don't think Damian Pierce is completely dead. But I mean, uh, he's he's got Joe Mixon and he's got Damian Pierce, so he's locked up, in my opinion, the Texans' backfield. So I mean, he's gonna. I think he's set himself up pretty nicely. I'll be curious to see what Malik Neighbors does this year, just because what's his face.
Daniel Jones. I mean, that's one of my
Yeah.
problems. Like, I love Neighbors. I think what would put Goal over the top if Neighbors just blows up, they find a way to use him. And if Bowers is really good, if Bowers ends up being like a Chris Cooley type tight end where he gets a lot of they just use him like the receiver tight end running back. I don't know what Bowers really is in the pro system yet, but if Bowers blows up and Neighbors, they're both rookies, that could put Goal over the top. I do have Goal in the middle of the top side of the draft right now.
No, I agree. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, Brock Bowers, I could see him having a Laporta type season
Yeah.
his rookie year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, he's 1,000% in the mix, no doubt. Let's jump on the Magic Man and see how he did in his draft.
Well, we know he took the longest. So I mean, he was sober and functioning, and he was glued to the computer. And I remember looking over, I'm ready to pick, and Sleeper wasn't even picking yet. I mean, we're going to have a timer, and we're going to name it the Magic Mike timer.
I'm pretty sure he's still picking.
Yeah, he's wondering what do I do next year. But he did get good value at the draft, and it's probably because he had his analytics up. He probably had 10 different websites and took the best data from the combined group somehow. I don't know what he was doing, but he was thinking hard during the draft. He was glued to that screen.
That's
The
right.
pick I like for him, though, I really thought DeAndre Swift round 5. I think he could have that running back round 2, 3 kind of potential. I didn't really see a big drop off. I think rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, there's a lot of running backs to me that are pretty much all the same. It just depends who you like the most. And I actually think Isaiah Pacheco, because he's on the Chiefs with Mahomes, he did good last year. I just think he will continue to grow. I think Pacheco is a very safe pick.
I agree with that one, especially with like how the Kansas City receivers are this year. I mean, Mahomes is going to get his, so he might be looking at Pacheco more for like dump off passes, that sort of thing. And if that's the case, drafting Patrick Mahomes, and that's pretty much a stack right there, if that's the way it works out.
Do you think Mahomes gets back on track? Do you think it seems like every year Mahomes is either the first or second quarterback taken, and we talked about this. I think he was the 7th or 8th quarterback in our league in 2023. Is he more than a name, or does Mahomes get back on track and be a top 2 or 3 quarterback?
Well, it's crazy. I think for real football, I think he's the best quarterback in the league. I
Yeah, he
mean,
is.
yeah,
He
I
is.
think for fantasy though, he's not. This is one reason I didn't want to take one of the top quarterbacks because I saw too many holes with them, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, etc.
There's concerns.
There and it's not so much the players, the personnel around them. I mean, Kelsey's getting older. I mean, the receivers are piecemeal together. Hollywood's hurt. Rice, I mean, right now he's playing, but maybe they throw him in jail like in the
Yeah,
week 3.
you never know.
You never know. Like so, he's I don't know that could be that's one reason why I think looking at Pacheco as a more of a receiver this year for Kansas City. I mean, that could in a way benefit Magic, but I don't see Mahomes being like one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league this year.
And I just wonder when our league's going to start taking quarterbacks later. They just fly off the board. And I mean, every year there's a bunch of guys. It's like Tua and stuff. Like Tua could easily finish as a number 2 or 3 quarterback in our league, and we haven't learned yet. But Mahomes is Mahomes. He's a badass. I just wonder if Mahomes will be elite this year. Same thing with Nico Collins as he continued to progress and grow and have great fantasy production with Diggs there and Tank Dell. And the other thing I didn't like about his draft, and we can't have everything. We're all going to have dings in our armor, but really, Magic Mike's only got 4 running backs, and he has 5. Chubb may not play much this year, so that may be one of Magic's concerns. If he loses a running back, he doesn't have anything else on his roster, and running backs are hard to find on the waiver wire.
That is true. That is 100% true. But I do like a couple of these picks he made, like Lad McConkey. I think
Oh
he's,
yeah, I like that a lot too.
I mean, Herbert, I think Herbert's a talented QB, and they've already said Lad's like the number 1 receiver there. So I think he's going to actually have a really good year. I like Jake Ferguson. I think that's a great,
Yep.
really good value of a tight end there who could easily finish the top 5 tight end in the league. I
And
mean,
we're just kind of nitpicking in Magic. I mean, everybody's got issues. Nobody's going to be perfect, but I have Magic Mike at the top of our draft in terms of I think where he lies right now. He's got a very good draft.
yeah, I agree. Let's talk a little sleeper action.
Sleeper was Sleeper. Sleeper always breaks the mold. I think he's already looking at the free agent waiver wire, and I think he's already uh, breaking that down. He's looking at who didn't get drafted, and he's ready to pick somebody up. And I say that because Sleeper is the only team in the league. He only has 1 quarterback and 1 tight end.
Oh yeah, that's right. He really only has 1.
Yeah. He's already geared up. He's just looking at the back guy at the end of his roster, and I think he's looking at 2 or 3 guys he's ready to cut right now. And he's going to wait for the first week, and he's going to add another quarterback or tight end. And that's what he does, sleeper savvy. And like I always said, after round 8 or 9, I'm like, everybody else is just potential. You hope the guy you're getting backups. We all snake each other. I don't put much value in anything past round 8. But Sleeper's always in it, man. Like the pick the thing is, I looked at his draft. There wasn't like a lot of picks I really liked. They all just kind of made sense to me with Sleeper. My favorite one, though, and he could start and have a very good year, I think, is Tyrone Tracy Jr., the running back with the Giants. And, the Giants are very limited. When I say blow up, like he could become like maybe 1,000-yard back possibly. I drafted Singletary. I don't think Singletary will do much. It's just going to be between the two. I think they're going to have to share the load to some degree. But what did you think about Sleeper's draft overall?
You know, what I like, sleepers drafts are always kind of hard to pick apart because there's always some guys in here that are inevitably going to blow up. And I don't even like, all right. I mean, he drafted David Montgomery. That scares the crap out of me for Jahmyr Gibbs. Not if anyone else in the league drafted David Montgomery, I'll be okay. But because Sleeper has
18
them,
touchdowns, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm like, Gibbs is done. So yeah, it's tough to say, that's for sure.
He's got 1 tight end, and the one that he has is Fryermuth. I was surprised he did that because I went back and I just looked at a lot of their stats, and I love stats and just going back. This is his 4th year. In his best year, he had 63 catches and like a little bit over 700 yards. Look at the quarterbacks they have there now. I think the Steelers are in trouble, and I don't think Freiermuth, he's a solid player, but from a fantasy perspective, I think he'll even cut Freiermuth 2 or 3 weeks in. I don't think he's going to stay long on Sleeper's roster. My other concern about Sleeper's roster, is Hall and Nakua. Are those elite players? This was last year's really their first years of breaking out. He took them at the top of the peak, and I wonder if they continue to have that success. I think if there's one, it'd be Hall more than Nakua. But I think Sleeper is a solid team. He'll be fine. He's savvy. I'm sure he's already got a plan of action. But I think the thing that really hurt Sleeper, if he loses Jalen Hurts, he's done.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's try to speed things up. We got about 8 minutes left.
You want to do the next half another time?
Yeah, we can do that. That'd probably work out.
We got a lot to go through, I think, here still.
Yeah.
And we can trash Gatos.
Yeah, Gato sucks, dude. I don't.
Loser.
I mean, we won't get into his draft. I mean, we'll have to spend like an hour just on that alone, on nitpicking that. But let me ask you, Grizz, how do you feel about your chances this year?
It was funny. I did the zero running back thing, and I did it last year. I remember when my draft ended, I didn't not like my team. I was scared because I looked at my running backs. It was similar to this year. I think I had like Javonte Williams, Jerome Ford, Alvin Kamara, and for some reason, it worked out great. Like when Kamara came back, I mean, I had the season won by mid-season, and I've never seen that happen in the Ashland Cup. This is a pretty competitive league, so we'll see. Like we'll get to my team a little bit later, but I don't. It's funny because I've had some really good drafts, and then one or two players gets hurt, and you're like, man, I thought I did well. And it's kind of good to.
That was the most.
You had that draft. You're like, man, I'm good, and then like your quarterback goes down, and your number one running back goes down. You're like, week 3, you're just so frustrated, you're pissed.
That's right.
And there's been some years where I'm like, I wish I could have gotten this player. Like last year, for example, I mean, it was a really tight finish, and like I said, if I had a healthy Nick Chubb, it'd been a different story.
Yeah, I mean, drafting Kieran Williams, I mean, would have just decided the league.
If one player.
Yeah, I'm like, that's one player decide the whole league.
There'll be another Nakua. There'll be another Williams this year, but we have no idea who it's going to be.
That's right. Whew, all the surprises. Can't wait.
Yep.
Well, dude, let's go ahead and end it.
Wrap it
up. Looking forward to the next pod. That's for sure.
Right, cool.
All right.
Adios.
Well, adios. Later.
Later.
Welcome back. We're continuing on with the review of the AC 2024 AC draft. Let's see who we got next.
Well, we left off with Sleeper, and I don't know if I said it. I had Sleeper right in the middle. He had a solid draft, and like I said, if Hurts gets hurt, he's in trouble. But I think he'll find a way to get around things. And my only other issue also, I worry about Sleeper's flex position. But like I said, he's savvy. He'll do something. We all have some holes, and nobody's got a perfect roster in our league. Not a single team.
No, I'm very questionable at kicker.
Kicker. Who gets cut? And does Gatos have a heart attack if his kicker gets released?
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's jump on to the next person. That actually looks like you on the list.
Yeah, I was number 8. And like I said, I chose a different strategy this year than I usually do it. And I've never, ever in the years I've been in the National Cup selected 3 wide receivers that early. And I didn't think I was going to do it. I knew I was going to take 2 in the first 2 rounds. My goal was to try to get 3 receivers I felt could get 100 balls each. And I had about 12 of them. And I think that gives me a slight advantage. But like I said, that they can get hurt. When Drake London fell to me in round 3, I was actually amazingly surprised considering how hot the Falcons are right now. And I think this is going to be his year. It's his third year. He's never had a quarterback there. That was one of my value picks that I like for myself. And I actually like having Brian Robinson there in round 8. I think he could be a sneaky player.
No, I agree. I was blown away that Drake London fell to you in the third round. I actually was looking at him in the top of the second myself. I could see him honestly like being your best receiver.
Yeah,
Uh,
it could happen.
like just to be blunt on that. But I like your team overall. I think when we were picking like who's your favorite team, I picked yours. I liked your quarterback situation. They're not sexy, but
Yeah.
they will get the job done. Both of them will probably finish as top 10 quarterbacks. And I wouldn't be shocked if one of them slips into the top 5. Um,
The thing is, you have Love, and I was thinking about this today. You took Love pretty high, and I don't understand how people think and the logic behind it. Love is a lot hotter than Purdy. It just is.
mhm.
They're both going into their second year. Purdy played before him, but last year was Purdy's first full year, and it's so same with Jordan Love. And statistically, if you look at their numbers last year, they're almost identical, but yet they go 4 or 5 rounds apart. That just shows you how things fall in magazines and all these articles and these things we read and the videos we watch on YouTube. It has a huge influence on us. And I mean, Jordan Love probably is a better athlete, but do you think Green Bay's got a better system than San Francisco? I don't think it's any better or any worse. I think they're
Yeah.
pretty much identical.
No, I mean, those are some all great valid points. I mean, um, yeah, Brock Purdy, I mean, could easily, like I say, be a top 5 QB. I mean, I don't think he's got what it takes to be like the number 1 QB,
He
but
doesn't. He doesn't.
but but that's okay because if the rest of your team plays well, like you have like Amon-Ra, Devontae, Drake, stepping up.
Even
I like
McLaurin can play well.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dalton. I actually had Dalton Schultz last year, and he was great until he got hurt at the end. Um, I think that was a great tight end. Your running backs. I mean, I think Kamara. You don't need Kamara to be what he was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I think last year though, I was reading when he was playing, he was the top 5 running back in fantasy when he was playing because he got all his dump off passes and it drove Gatos nuts. I remember because
Mhm.
David Carr, like his average reception was only for a few yards, but they just dumped the ball off. Now they have a new coordinator there in Kubiak at the Saints, and I just want Kamara to be decent. He doesn't have to be. It'd be great if he was a top 10 running back, but I don't think he's going to drop off the radar. I think he's their bell cow. Uh, my concern is who's going to be my number 2 running back. Even if I have one, I don't want to be moving Robinson and Singletary and Zamir White around. I'm hoping Zamir White is the guy. I think out of all my running backs, I actually think Zamir White will be my best one.
He might be. He might have got a little bit of a steal with that one. Yeah, no, I like your team overall, and I see you cornered the market on 49er backups if what we've said does happen. And
They have like 5 or 6 running backs. I just chose 2, and even Sleeper took one. Remember like years ago they had Mostert, Breida. They just whoever goes into that system does pretty well, and it depends who's the flavor of the week over there. So I could even see both my running backs maybe even getting cut or not even being on the roster in 4 or 5 weeks. Who knows? But the guy I drafted at the very end of the draft, he was their 4th round draft pick, and already runs like a 4.3 high. He's a burner, and they haven't said anything about him this preseason. So who knows? We'll have to find out how my team does. I have a second running back issue in my tight end. You like my tight end. It's not sexy, but I would like for Hawkinson to come back healthy and to see how it works. But my money is on my 3 wide receivers. They have to pan out. So that if they're just I don't think on mom will be bad. I don't. The one that could possibly be bad would be Devontae Adams, but I still think he's an elite player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have myself in the middle of the pack. I don't think I'm bad. I don't think I'm incredible. I just think I'm right in the middle. And sometimes that's right where you want to be. Let's
That's
move
right.
on to Los Gatos.
Whew, terrible.
What a loser. But I think my brother had a typical Gatos draft, just very safe. He never overexerts himself, and if stuff like this is paid off for him very well. The picks I like for my brother were our T. Higgins in round 6, and especially if Jamar Chase gets traded or something he holds out, that's just Gatos gold again. This, geez almighty, can you imagine that if T. Higgins is the number 1 there, Burrow, he will just make money all year long. And I really like the Ray Davis pick in round 11, the Buffalo Bills running back. I think by midseason, Ray Davis could be their bell cow or first down running back because I just don't think James Cook is that in between the tackles running back. I don't think he's ever going to be that. I think it's going to be a thunder and lightning approach, and Ray Davis may be that guy. What do you think about his? What do you think his best picks were?
I mean, I think it's his backup running backs. Like you have Tajee Spears, Ray Davis, Marshawn Lloyd, even Will Shipley. Like you're saying, like this is Gatos we're talking about.
Something's going to hit.
Something could hit very, very easily out of all those 4 running backs, and all of a sudden you got the number 1 running back in one of those teams. What do you think of his first 2 picks? AJ Brown, Saquon. I think separately, they're pretty good players, but considering the fact you have a receiver running back
On
on
the
the
same
same
team.
team.
Yeah, if the Eagles backfire, he's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, for that to work out, I feel like the Eagles have to be like one of the top offenses in the NFL.
That's a new look having Barkley on that team, and the Eagles have never like Swift was like a receiving back. He's a much different back than Shaquan. Shaquan's a traditional in between the tackle bell cow. So, and they also have a new center over in Philadelphia. Kelsey's not there anymore. We don't know what the Eagles are. So they might be. I think it's a small gamble. My problems with Ryan's team, like these are just everybody's got a problem. I don't think Mark Andrews is elite anymore. He's older, and Ryan even drafted the Ravens' backup tight end likely, which tells me he's not 100% confident in Andrews. Andrews over the last 5 years, 4 of his years have been as good as Dalton Schultz on the average. He's had more average years than good years. He's had one amazing year. Uh, what Andrews is to me is really just a touchdown monster. And I do know Lamar Jackson loves to look for him in the end zone, and that's where Mark Andrews' real value and money is. But now that Zay Flowers is there, this other tight end, they have Henry there. I could see Mark Andrews having a less than productive year. Uh, and then also, I think Ryan might have some issues at quarterback. I think his quarterbacks are kind of wishy washy. Not like knowing my brother, he'll maybe find some gold there, but I'm not in love with his quarterbacks. I think my quarterbacks are even a little bit stronger than his, considering. And I don't know what Jalen Waddle is anymore. Like Tyreek Hill, that is his offense. Do you like Waddle a lot in fantasy this year? I cannot figure him out.
Not really. I mean, I would have to go back, but he has never really. They've always kind of touted him as like this, ranked him high in fantasy, but he's never, in my opinion, really produced in a big way.
He hasn't yet. He reminds me a lot of Kirk in Jacksonville. He'll have like 3 or 4 really good games, then just have like the rest of the season like 3 or 4 catches here and there in games. I think he could be very frustrating for Gatos.
Yeah,
I'm not sold on Waddle right now.
that's right, dude. T. Higgins is probably better than Waddle, that's for sure.
Honestly, I would start T. Higgins over Waddle, especially if there's Chase holdouts, and it's a no-brainer to me.
That's right. Let's jump into the next team, and that is LTD. Whew,
Well, real quick, I do have Gatos in the middle of the pack. I think he's right there. He had a pretty decent draft overall. I'm not trying to shame him, but Ryan's right in the middle as always. He didn't do anything. I think I put him at the bottom, but LTD and Magic Mike, those are the 2 people who got voted as the league winners or the highest teams. And I do have, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I have LTD at the top to middle of the draft, but he is right now, in my opinion, one of the better teams. Uh, but I'll tell you, there are some concerns with LTD's team as well. Uh, but let's get to the positives. I do love the fact that he's got the combination of Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid there. He got Kincaid in round 6. Kincaid was one of my favorite tight ends in the draft simply because Josh Allen doesn't have any tight ends. I mean, a wide receiver. So he's probably going to use Kincaid a bit like a wide receiver. And I like that he got Christian Kirk in round 8. And I really like the Blake Corum pick. I think everybody liked Corum, but he got Corum around 10. I could see Corum coming in with the Rams and taking away some of Williams' carries early. And he could be like their goal line back. Uh, Al had a very good draft, but it's also kind of dry and boring. And I mean, like Al Murphy sung us some songs at the draft from a distance, and I felt like Bette Miller was just channeling her energy from a retirement home and saying, "Draft Al, draft me, draft me." And he goes and drafts all these old ass wide receivers. Every single starting wide receiver he has is like 35, 40 years old. They're ancient. So I think that's an issue. They're good players still. I predict, though, that Al Murphy next year will show up as Little Richard to the draft. That's my only real. That's the only thing I'll stand by.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, I see. I can see why like Al's team was predicted to be as high as it is. I am not confident in Josh Allen this year. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Josh Allen Kincaid stack is perfect, is what you want. But outside of Kincaid, I don't see a whole lot of receivers for Allen. I think he'll have a good year. I don't think he'll finish as the number one overall fantasy player like he did last year. Uh, he's got Jonathan Taylor, which hasn't really produced much the past couple years. I know I'm gonna Al Murphy's gonna be gunning for me, but I'm not as high on Al's draft as like some other people are. I have a feeling he'll be looking at first place from a distance.
Oh,
Oh, and but I don't think I think he's more in the middle than like top of the top to middle as you would put him.
he's definitely in it, though. I mean, I thought that Jonathan Taylor burned me more than Chubb did. I mean, geez, Jonathan Taylor burned me, and he didn't do that good last year. He had some bursts. I just don't know if Jonathan Taylor. He hasn't shown anybody really in 2 years that he is elite. I think he may have picked him too high. I'm not saying it's a terrible pick, but I think there were guys I would have gone after over Jonathan Taylor there. I would have taken Shaquan over Jonathan Taylor, or even possibly like one of your running backs. A guy who's got injury concerns. I don't know, man. Like Jonathan Taylor could end up burning LTD, and then I mean, what happens if Jonathan Taylor gets hurt this year? Do you think he's gone? I think he'll be out of Indy.
He could be out of the league. The way this league chooses up running backs, especially. I mean, heck, Sean Alexander was a MVP, and 2 years later he was gone.
It's a weird thing. I mean, Al Murphy's. I have him in the top of the middle team. He is one. He's in. If you're not in the middle, he's one of the better teams, and he's a two-time. Is he a two-time champ?
Oh, he's
LTD.
two-time. He's two-time.
So LTD and his going the distance Bette Midler, as disturbing as we were sung to at the draft, wherever that was. I was not expecting the Bette Midler to show up at the draft this year. I think the year before it's Ric Flair. Who do you think next year Al Murphy's going to show up as? Can you?
I mean, I have no predictions for that.
Dolly Parton's my guess.
It could be Dolly. It could be. I have no idea. It could be Drake. I don't know.
Oh, Drake. We're putting him on notice. Drake and Dolly Parton at the same draft. Can he pull it off?
That's right.
But next we got Huza, your rival, your BFF. And Huza, we talked about this. We always talk about Huza because like I feel like we could just pretty much guarantee what he's going to do in like 2 or 3 of the rounds early. It was a draft we saw kind of coming. I was surprised he took the Jets wide receiver Wilson. That was the only shock to me. The picks I like for him, I thought Stafford was a good value around 13. Jackson Smith and Jigba around 10. I mean, they got 3 receivers in Seattle. I'm not a huge Geno Smith fan, but Jackson Smith's going into his second year. And if there's a year to get him, round 10, see what happens. I think that's a decent value there. But what were your pros and cons of who's his draft? What did you like and not like?
Uh, hmm. It's a good question. What I like. I'll be honest, he did snake me on Stafford. I was really gonna pick him right there, but that didn't work out for me. I like Garrett Wilson if my boy Aaron Rodgers is healthy and is throwing the ball. He has number one receiver potential, honestly,
Yeah.
in my opinion. There's some things to like, I guess, but overall, like for me, like I feel like I'm not crazy about Derrick Henry in the second round.
It's pretty early for a 32-year-old running back.
That's right. Who doesn't catch passes? Then I'm very curious about Kyle Pitts because
He's a dark horse.
yeah, because I was interested in drafting Kyle Pitts, but more like around like 8 or 9. Which I know that probably he wasn't going to probably be there, but still, I was round 5. I was like, oof, if you want to pay that price, you go right ahead.
Kyle
Yeah,
Pitts is like Mr. Potential. We all think and hope. And if they, like I said, with London, if there's a year for him to break out, it's this year.
yeah. If he doesn't do it this year, no one should ever draft Kyle Pitts again. I think he did. I think overall, I think Kuzma did an okay draft. I don't know if I would put him in the mix at the top though. I think he's definitely middle to middle low.
That's
Uh,
that's exactly where I have him. I think his running back room is out of date, and I think he's got a weak flex spot.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Jackson Smith and Jigba. That might. I'm curious about that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a curious pick because he's got nothing to lose there, and like Lockett's old, and Metcalf is. I think Metcalf is one of those guys last few years we always thought was going to make the leap. He's good. He's just I don't think he's ever going to be fantasy great, and maybe somebody else does like Najigba. We'll have to wait and see. But the only thing about Najigba, I think he's purely an inside slot receiver. They don't really flex him out that much. So we'll see how they use him this year. They have a new coordinator, new coaching staff.
we'll see. Well, let's jump over to the 12th pick, the king himself. Just go ahead and give me all.
drop it on you.
Yeah,
You even said it. I think you have the if there's a team to talk about, it's your team. You have the biggest high risk, high reward draft there is. It's not even close. If there's a team that's close to you, it's drill. So if you look at it, my favorite 2 picks that you have were back to back. I thought Deontay Johnson with the Panthers, even though it's Panthers round 8, he's going to be their number 1 player. Period. Not just running back, not tight end receiver. He is the number 1 offensive skill set player on that team right now. And I think Rico Dowdle will be the running back in with the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott, pure trash.
yeah.
That if anybody drafted him, you should be smacked on the wrist. That's a terrible pick. He's old. He's terrible. He's yesterday's news. He should have been in Gerald's team, but he didn't draft him. I don't think so. No, that was a shocker. But I think the Cowboys are going to get somebody else. They're going to have a trade or something. They can't go into the season with that backfield. That's the worst backfield I've ever seen in the Cowboys history. Seriously, do you recall the Cowboys having that bad of a backfield ever?
Oh, I don't know, but Rico, I hope he does start so then I can start calling Rico Suave.
Dude, Marco Suave might come out. But let's just look at your first 3 picks. Good gosh, is that high risk, high reward? Cooper Kupp. Let's just talk about Kupp. He's a top 3 receiver if healthy. but he has an injury concern. And then your other two picks, I mean, these are guys who could have 70, 80 balls catching. I mean, and Gibbs, like you said, you're concerned about Gibbs right now. I think your boy, the Miami running back, I think he's going to be used as a flex receiver. He's going to be used like a Swiss Army knife. And he had one of, I think, the highest yards per a rush last year. He averaged like 7 yards a rush, like an NFL record. So I get it. But your next three picks are interesting as well because I think 4 out of your top 6 picks are in their second year. So like you're raw. Like these guys, your team is like right out the gate. So I mean, if you hit on those guys, wow. I mean, we're going to be looking back. So, like I said, you're like Drill, a lot of potential. So when I was looking at your draft overall, because you did shock me with a few things, like even Zay Flowers, I didn't see you taking Zay. I think I told you that at the draft, and you willingly chose the 12th spot. But what were your other selections? Do you remember what spots you could have had?
Really, because I finished second overall in the league last year. I think it was between 12 and I think 9, or whatever pick Gatos has.
Yeah, Gatos is behind me. Do you regret maybe taking 12? You think no?
No. Like I was very happy with the draft. There are some decisions like I think like in the 1-2 spot, I was looking at those two running backs and Barkley. Maybe Barkley might have been a little bit more safe than one of them, but I went, like you say, swung for the fences. There are a couple. Honestly, the way it broke, I was like, especially within the first, I think 4, maybe 6 rounds, I was staring at like 3 guys at each turn, 3 or 4 guys that I was like that were on my board that I had to choose from. I was kind of very happy with that. Afterwards, it was more like going back to my original plan of just gobbling up running backs as much as I could. Deontay Johnson was there. I had to take him. I mean, you look what Thielen did last year. Thielen was a fantasy darling for a little while. I mean, and
Who else
Deontay,
are they going to throw the ball to there, though?
yeah. I mean, that's just it. I mean, Deontay's in the same position, but better, a younger, better version.
Yeah,
So
he should do better. He should have. I think Deontay's going to have at least 65, 70 balls. I think his ceiling could be 90.
yeah, I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I know, like for me, the one position that I'm just like, just rolling my eyes at is my tight end position with Cole Kmet and Michael Mayer, but I'm hoping, praying one of them does well.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of teams, you, me, and Sleeper all devalued the tight end position this year. And like I said, we'll see how it works out. So, I think every team, like, it's tighter than ever, I feel like. And when I came away from this, I looked at every team. I have 3 teams I think right now have a slight advantage. It's Goal. There's not one more than the other. It's Magic and LTD. Those are my 3 favorite teams right now.
Okay. Well, man, if I had to pick 3 favorite teams right now, I'd pick yours. You're in there. I like let me see. I like Gatos, unfortunately. And this is 3 teams other than mine, of course. I think I'll go with maybe Tuna, actually.
Yeah, I like Tuna's team. I was looking at it, picking it apart, and that's what we're doing. We're looking at the good and the bad, and then we start picking things apart and trying to find issues. I didn't see anything like really, really bad with his team. I liked his team overall, so I think he's definitely one of the better teams.
Yeah, I agree. Whew, well, we went through the whole league. A lot of overall, I think everyone had a pretty good draft. There was no like, oh my God, this team is done. No team is done right now.
Yeah, we didn't hear Gerald make a bunch of comments saying bad pick or Troy calling names to anybody, telling you're a homeless son of a motherless goat or something. Like usually, Sleeper he'll say something. He kept it in check. I think was Sleeper drinking at the draft this year? I can't remember.
He was pretty sober, wasn't
He-
he?
when he was hammering that one draft, he was letting those words this out. He let the hate out that one year.
That was great. I loved it.
He can be the comedian. We did have a lot of fun, and as Drill had said, if it holds up, we're going to do the draft in DC next year. And I will tell you, if we do, that sticks to it. We do it. We're going to have the draft at a really nice venue, and then I want to try to do the draft in a private room, either at the Gaylord Hotel or the MGM. We'll do it right.
Or Asian Masala's parlor.
And yeah, we can do the follow up. Maybe I was even thinking about maybe we all go to a Commanders preseason game. Who knows?
Hey,
Who knows?
hey, it'd be interesting actually doing the draft in a team or in a city with an NFL team. I don't count the Titans.
Burn. LTD's gonna hate us forever.
He will. He's going for me now.
All right, Coop.
All right, Grizz, great pod. And just to remind everyone, we're right, you're wrong.
Losers.
Later.